Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today I'll be covering the official Handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition, Volume 2, published in 1985 by Marvel Comics. First off, we have a wonderful cover from John Byrne, our cover artist through the bulk of the series, inked by series inker Joseph Rubinstein, showing all of the characters covered and collected in this edition. Once again, moving forward toward that unknown destination. Love Byrne's Captain America. Love his Beast. Just great. This is what I would term speed Byrne. There's not a ton of detail in the figure work here, and Rubinstein does a nice job bringing out what detail there is, but it looks great. Great composition. Love the blue colors on this logo, too, of the official handbook on this issue. And moving through, once again, we have some front matter here. Natural selection column by Mark Grunwald, where he talks about who's in and who's out and why. Mark Grunwald is the writer-producer. Peter Sanderson, writer-researcher. Elliot Brown, technical illustrator. Joseph Rubinstein, inker and embellisher on all the figures in here, no matter who the penciler is. Howard Mackey, assistant editor. Andy Yanchus, colorist. Brenda Mings, typesetter. Barry Shapiro, paste up and mechanicals. John Byrne, cover penciler. Danny Crespi, production supervisor. Dawn Geiger, production assistant. And Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. First entry, we have an excellent Beast. Hank McCoy, The Beast by Kerry Gamble, perhaps one of my favorite, I would say top 5 Avengers. Excellent entry on The Beast here, just a single page. And we have a very cool shot of him from the Avengers playing ping pong. And I think that's a George Perez panel there, but it's hard to say. Quick note here, the Beast possesses superhuman strength, enabling him to lift press 1 ton under optimal conditions. I feel they really underpowered the Beast in this version of the official handbook. I think he was at 1 ton in the previous one too. I just think he's stronger than that, maybe in the 5-ton range based on some textual evidence we could point to. Overall, he's kind of underpowered, but I do love his power set. And he does get a power boost later in the 80s when he becomes a member of X Factor. The Beetle, great Spider-Man villain. I remember him from the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon. He had a very distinctive, buggy voice that the voice actor gave him, and it was very visually cool to see this character on the small screen on Saturday morning. Was pretty great. And he's basically your power armor villain, kind of a poor man's Iron Man. This is his souped up, more quote-unquote modern costume. I do like the old costume as well. And we have some just dazzling technical drawings by Elliot R. Brown again here. Just the stuff he does on this series is just tremendous. We get Belasco. Very cool. I think this is Ron Frenz on Belasco. It is, yeah. He was, I believe, the first artist to draw him when he cut his teeth at Marvel on Kazar. So I always was very frightened of Belasco as a teenager. I just thought he was like, very obviously devilish character and pretty creepy and scary, especially having kidnapped Yelena for all those years, and just a creepy villain. Beta Ray Bill, classic Walt Simonson artwork here, and great shot here of Beta Ray Bill, Beta Ray. They call it Beta Ray Thor's hammer. I really think that's a mistake, and so on some level it should be Stormbreaker, I believe, is the actual name of the hammer. Look at all these great Simonson action shots here too, and. Beta Ray Bill possesses class 100 strength and can lift press somewhere over 100 tons. His strength in this form is the equal of Thor's. Pretty awesome. Binary, awesome Chris Claremont reclamation project of Carol Danvers after she was so wretchedly treated by David Michelini and Jim Shooter in Avengers Annual number 2, or in Avengers 200. We'll cover that someday on the show. Really cool. After being experimented on by the Brood, she developed these incredible cosmic powers. And she can lift press in excess of 100 tons. So she has class 100 strength, at least in this form. Kurt Busiek would later power her down in his late 1990s Avengers run, but she was still cool then. Black Bolt, very cool. This may be John Byrne. Let me take a look. It is. Very cool John Byrne Black Bolt there. And we get a lot of Kirby here. Look at that awesome Kirby crackle in that panel there. And always thought Black Bolt should be stronger based on who he could slug it out with. They say here under normal conditions he can lift press 1 ton, and he can augment his strength so that he can lift 60 tons under optimal conditions by using his energy and kind of like buffing himself up with his own energies. Black Cat, very cool Spider-Man foil, and then romantic interest. And I think that's Carrie Gamil artwork there on the Black Cat. It is. Very cool. And nice cutaway on her claws here, how they work. Very nice. She ended up getting a bad luck, a probability altering power by the Kingpin, paid to have it. And then she was in his debt because she had it, because she wanted powers to be able to keep up with Spider-Man. So it became kind of an albatross for her. Black Crow, love this design, love this artwork here. Not gonna lie, I peeked earlier. It's Howard Bender, who I'm not really that familiar with. But just a really cool character that showed up in Captain America 292. And I don't know if he ever really appeared elsewhere very much. Great Black King, Sebastian Shaw, another Pittsburgh Marvel character, very cool. I wonder if you ever ran across Blanchinski, the Anaconda. I think something tells me they moved in different circles. We covered her in the previous issue. But that Black King is by Brett Blevins. Pretty nice. Another Carrie Gamil here on this Black Knight entry. Very nice design and perfect execution on the design by Carrie Gamil. I guess John Buscema designed this costume, or maybe it was designed by him and then refined by later artists in the 80s, not sure, but he was a cool Avenger, had a good run with the Avengers. No real powers, all his powers resided in his magical blade and the fact that he had Aragorn the horse and later got his atomic steed. Part of the Siege on Avengers Mansion storyline, which was so gripping and moving and ultimately satisfying. And again, Elliot R. Brown delivering those incredible technical drawings of the atomic steed here. Very cool. Black Lash, what a great design. I'm a sucker for a character with a top knot, no matter how goofy they might be. I just think it's visually stunning on the page. I really like it. And this Black Lash, Bob Layton, I should have known. The artist you would most associate with Iron Man in my mind is the great Bob Layton. Still working, still active, still tremendous, whether inking or penciling, just awesome. And we get this tremendous technical drawing of his high-tech whip. So very cool stuff here. He's another one of those villains who often shows up in my Villain Mission Force RPG, tabletop RPG games, because he's just such a kind of ham and egger sort of loser villain that you like to include him because he's fun. Black Mamba, great founding member of the Serpent Squad / Serpent Society along with Anaconda. And we get some cool Paul Neary Captain America artwork here of her ensorceling cap with her cool powers. Nice looking art there. Tanya Seeley is her name. And she's one of those characters who wields the Dark Force. The Dark Force seemed to be like this default energy force. And as I say that, I look here and we have Blackout, who also, I believe, wields the Dark Force. Another great villain. I think that's some Al Milgrom artwork there. Let me double check on that. Yep. And Mamba is Mike Gustovich, great underrated inker and artist from the 80s, creator of the Justice Machine comics. Yeah. Blackout possesses the ability to tap and manipulate an intense black form of extra-dimensional energy called the Dark Force. Dark Star is another one. It was this weird energy that Grunwald, I think, thought up to kind of tie some of these characters together and their powers. Look at this Black Panther. It's just tremendous, tremendous artwork here. I want to see who. Keith Pollard. Man, Keith Pollard is such a great, underrated Marvel artist. Just tremendous. First appearance, Fantastic Four 52. Try to find that for a bargain now. You will not. Love this entry on him, too. The Black Panther is near the pinnacle of human physical perfection, his natural strength and abilities having been heightened by the unidentified heart-shaped herb found only in Wakanda. While not superhuman, he is nearly as strong as a human being can become. He can lift press a maximum of 750 pounds with supreme effort. So we'll see as we go later on into this book, he's only just a hair weaker than Captain America. And if you read through this entry here, the dude has superhuman power. I mean, they're saying, oh, it's pinnacle of human perfection, but his senses, his agility, and his strength, I mean, he's superhuman. Great character. Deserves more than a one-page entry in my mind. Great entry on Selene, the Black Queen here. Very cool character. She can lift press up to 1,500 pounds despite her slight form. She's basically a crazy, like, mutant vampire. Very, talk about scary villain. She was a very creepy and scary villain in those mid to late 80s X-Men stories. Let's see here. Black Queen. Mark Beecham. Nice artwork there. Black Talon, fun villain, instrumental in the resurrection of Wonder Man in the 70s. Later becomes a foil and foe of the West Coast Avengers, I think. Oh, yeah, awesome Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, Black Widow here. Let me see here. Just make sure. Yep, it's Frank Miller. Very nice. I prefer her with the long hair, but this was a cool alternate costume and look for her. This is, I think, a Miller design. It would later move into other books, too. This is obviously more of a superhero design here, and this is more befitting of the grittier Daredevil stuff that Miller was doing. And again, we get the ace technical drawings from the amazing Elliot Brown. Very cool stuff. Oh, this Blastar, so incredible. Let's take a look at Blastar's measurements. Height, 6'6", weight, 520 pounds, eyes, gray, hair, gray, skin, gray. Strength level. Blastar possesses superhuman strength, enabling him to lift press approximately 50 tons under optimal conditions. He was just a total badass villain for the Fantastic Four. This might be Byrne. No, it's Al Milgrom. Wow. Al Milgrom just doing some tremendous figure work here. Excellent, excellent Blastar. Yeah. Blastar has superhuman strength and endurance and resilience. He is virtually tireless. His body can withstand extreme variations in temperature and pressure. His skin is strong enough to withstand the impact of 30 caliber armor-piercing machine gun bullets. He can survive for weeks without nourishment and can survive in airless space for months by willing himself into a state of hibernation. Just a very powerful foe. Yeah, very cool entry here on Johnny Blaze, who at this point, by the publishing of this book, was no longer Ghost Rider. They had ended his title, and we hadn't yet gotten the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. That would come in the 90s. So we have just Johnny Blaze here. But when he was Ghost Rider, he could lift press 5 tons, which is cool. Nice work there on that entry. This entry here on the Blob just pissed me off to no end as a kid. Like, says someone who was keenly following the various capabilities of these Marvel characters when I was playing the TSR Marvel Superheroes game and just kind of reading the comics doggedly every month. The Blob had superhuman strength in the previous handbook. And this one, it says, the Blob does not truly possess superhuman strength, but his enormous size gives him considerably greater strength than a man of the same age, height, and build, same age and height with a normal build. That's a ridiculous statement. When one of the images you show here, Mark Grunwald, I know you passed on, and I, um, I think your contributions to comics are just unbelievable. But this one thing, as a kid, got me mad. I should have written a letter when I had the chance. Anyway, the Blob is clearly demonstrating superhuman strength here. He's superhumanly strong, and this is an error. But otherwise, cool entry. Interesting artwork here, too, for old Fred J. Dukes. Let me take a look. Steve Lealoha. I like it. I like Steve Lealoha. I'm a fan. Boomerang, not Captain Boomerang, that's DC. This is Marvel's Boomerang, one of the original foes of the Hulk, if you can believe that. This guy has definitely has some stones on him here to take on the Hulk with just some trick boomerangs. I love that issue of Iron Fist when he took Iron Fist on. It was a Byrne issue, and it was really good. Cool box here from Mike Mignola. Very neat. And then we get the red box, the updated, or I should say this blue box came after the red one. He was blue, then he was red, then he was blue again. Yeah, anyway, he could lift press either 85 or 40 tons, depending on the era of the box armor that we're talking about. But great Byrne sequence here from the pages of Alpha Flight. Loved the Brothers Grimm. They were very cool Spider-Woman villains. I think they were created by Marv Wolfman and Carmine Infantino when he was originally drawing the book. Just a bevy of interesting sort of quasi-magical powers and neat villains. I think they later showed up in the Night Shift, one of those cool underutilized villain/hero teams from the 80s. Brother Voodoo, great 2-page entry here on Brother Voodoo, and I love this Brother Voodoo artwork. Let me check that out. Keith Pollard again, man, Keith Pollard delivering those pulse-pounding pencils. And again, all the main entry figures are inked by Joe Rubenstein, and he does a really great job on these. So everything you wanted to know about Brother Voodoo up to this point here in this tale. Bushmaster, great Captain America villain, member of the Serpent Society. Very cool. Strength level unknown. I think later on in one of the later editions, it was revealed that he has superhuman strength. He does have bionic arms, and his trunk, his snake-like trunk, is bionic, so he's got to be pretty strong. Just a visually stunning villain. Very cool. Caliban, another cool X-Men character. First appeared in X-Men 148 and then was really fleshed out in 169 and 170, the Morlocks. And it's cool we go from Caliban to Callisto, two Morlocks on opposite ends of the friendly spectrum, as Callisto was initially pretty antagonistic to the X-Men, and Caliban was just kind of misunderstood misanthrope. Cannonball here by Bill Sienkiewicz. That's unmistakable. Mid to late 80s, Bill Sienkiewicz there. And we have here a very cool, what looks like Sal Buscema with Tom Mandrake Cannonball panel there. Very cool. Here's our entry on Captain America. Let's see, strength level. Captain America represents the pinnacle of human physical perfection. While not superhuman, he is as strong as a human being can be. He can lift press a maximum of 800 pounds with supreme effort. Captain America has agility, strength, speed, endurance, and reaction time superior to any Olympic athlete who ever competed. And it goes on. I mean, it just, they say, oh, he doesn't have any superpowers, and then they list a bevy of abilities that are literally superhuman, which is fun. If you're trying to stat him out in an RPG, he's going to wind up needing enough points. You know, if you're using a point-based system or some kind of resource allocation system, he's going to require, to model him correctly, enough resources to push him into the superhuman range. Nice drawing of his shield here by Elliot Brown. And even the leather case, he carries it in. Very cool. Lots of cool action shots, too. And then we get a nice 2-page sequence on Cap's hotline, his motorcycle, and his van, which is pretty great. And it's cool in this cutaway, you see the motorcycle in the van. It's so awesome. Here's just a quick note on the motorcycle. Captain America rides a Harley-Davidson custom special motorcycle, custom built for him by a young motorcycle mechanic, Jonathan Colson of Queens, New York. And it goes on to talk about the modifications. And yeah, just a very cool gearhead type stuff here from Elliot Brown. Really neat. Love the look of Cap's van too. I almost want to, get a picture of the Mego toy and put it next to this, because I mean, Hulk had a van in the Mego toy line. I don't know if Captain America did though. Spider-Man did, but I don't think Cap rated one. Captain Brit here, he would later get a major power boost. Here he's listed as only being able to lift press 2 tons, but that rockets up in the updates to this. Great costume design. I like it, but I like the old one better. I like the open cowl so that his hair was streaming out, and the scepter, and just the design of it. This one's cool. I just like the old one better. And they don't show it here because he only gets a 1-page entry. Captain Marvel, maybe the most powerful. This is the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel. Maybe the most powerful Avenger next to Thor ever to serve in the group. Just a tremendous power set. It had to be hard for Roger Stern to write stories that would challenge her once he began to get to grips with the full range of her powers. And they did come up with, once again, that Blackout character. The Dark Force was her Achilles heel, which was kind of neat. They were able to use that to kind of corral her abilities, to limit her in some way. So get some cool John Buscema panels in here, which is neat, and some Al Milgrom stuff too. Captain Ultra, very strange character who debuted in Fantastic Four 177. I think he was a Perez design. Very funny character. He's got a bevy of powers, but just a strange costume. I think it was meant to be funny and weird. Captain Universe, there's some Steve Ditko gracing the pages of the official handbook, and a little bit of Michael Golden here in the action panel shot. Very cool. Captain Universe could be anyone, which was kind of neat. Aunt May could be Captain Universe. It was something that would embody the person and let them do special things for a short period of time. I think there was one Incredible Hulk annual where Bruce Banner was split from the Hulk, got Captain Universe's powers, and ended up fighting the Hulk, which is kind of neat. And then, of course, he's reunited with the Hulk at the end of the story. Black Tom Cassidy, very cool X-Men foe. I'm just curious here. This might be a Cockrum. Let me take a look here. Let's see, Cassidy Black. Oh, Steve Lealoha. Nice. I think he's doing sort of a little Cockrum homage there with this one. Very cool, Steve. That's Cockrum panel there, though. Yep, Sean Cassidy, the Banshee. This is him in his unpowered form after he injured himself fighting Moses Magnum in, I think, X-Men 119. And that's Mark Bright. Once again, I think doing a little bit of Dave Cockrum homage there. This panel and this are sort of, they're reminiscent of each other. Very cool. The Celestials, they played big in the recent Eternals movie from 1.5 or 2 years ago. The Chief Examiner, this is a character from that crazy failed Quest Probe limited series, I think. Who draws this one? It's an interesting artwork there. John Byrne. John Byrne also provides the art for Chthon, which gets a lengthy entry. He was involved in that Knights of Wundagore, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver story, and Avengers that Byrne drew, and this is probably, I think, taken from there, cribbed from there. And we get mini entries on the Circus of Crime. Strongman Clown, who was wrongly burned by Hellfire by the Ghost Rider, which is kind of a sad story in Ghost Rider. The Fire Eater, the Great Gambanos, Human Cannibal, and Livewire. Ham and Egg are villains. I've definitely used them in Villain Mission Force games as foes of the Villain Mission Force. They're cool. It'd be cool to run an issue of my game where everyone plays a member of the Circus of Crime. That would be kind of neat, too. Clea, awesome. Paul Smith. Clea here. Doctor Strange's love interest and also powerful wizard in and of herself. And we get a ton of awesome Paul Smith action shots here. And I'll read you just a brief segment here from the end of the natural selection column. Another bias we have had since the original series and have kept pretty much intact for this deluxe edition is a bias towards characters who live in this time period, the 1980s, this world, Earth, and this dimension, the Marvel Universe. The reason for this, of course, is we figured that you readers care most about the here and now, even as do we. This is not to say we don't feature any extraterrestrials, extra-dimensionals, or extemporals. Let's see. As a matter of fact, if the four name types interact a lot with the here and now, you'll find them in the deluxe edition. So again, going through, explaining the reasoning behind why a certain character is in, why a certain character is out. So that's our quick romp through the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition, issue 2. I'm not going to say it's Mark Gruenwald's magnum opus. I think it's one of his greatest contributions to Marvel. He has so many, it's hard to mention them, but all here. But Squadron Supreme, I think 1 to 12 would be maybe what many consider to be his magnum opus. His incredible and epic run on Cap is another one on Captain America's title. But this certainly has left an indelible mark on the Marvel Universe and how we fans in the 80s consumed the Marvel Universe and thought about the characters. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, comment below, let me know what you think about the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. And come back here again for another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.